Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefings. I'm your host, Arshel Branch, and today, you guys, we're going to talk about Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, being upset with Black men. I find this whole predicament quite fascinating. So let's go ahead and let's get into it, shall we?
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I am not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
Okay, you guys, so as I said, we are going to be talking about President Barack Obama. He gave what looks like a lecture. I mean, he went in there like dad and just was scolding Black men for, I believe, for numerous of things. One, he was saying that Black men are being misogynistic, that they're coming up with all these alternative reasons for why Black men are just not being interested in voting for Kamala Harris, or it's mostly because they're being misogynist. I mean, this was the accusation that he made. And I don't think if you're a conservative, this should be new to you. I don't think that if you're a Black man, that if you don't want to vote for Kamala Harris, that somehow that makes you a misogynist and makes you racist. I know that there are some people who don't want to vote for women to be presidents because they don't like the idea of having a female president. You know, I'm not quite there yet personally myself. I don't know how I feel about a female president. I've grown up since, Hillary Clinton was running for office first was against Barack Obama, and I was, a child then. So her being a Democrat, my family being Democrats, this was just a no-brainer. But then, of course, she was running against Barack Obama at the time. And so I remember people not voting in that particular primary because it was hard for them to choose between a Black man and a woman. It was difficult for them. This was the closest a woman had ever come to being the president of the United States, to be that close. And so for my parents specifically, it was difficult for them to choose. Then Barack Obama got the nomination. And of course, we all know what happened after that. He wins the presidency. In this case, however, I don't look at Kamala Harris and I don't see another Obama. I think the reason why they're saying or suggesting that we should look at her as such is because she's a woman of color, and that's not enough. We've been there, done that. We did that with Obama. And he did make a reference to that in this lecture that he gave to Black men. Obviously, not the Black men in the room. It's obviously, he videotaped it, obviously, so that way it could get put out there. It's not specifically speaking to the Black men in the room because clearly they're the ones who are working the campaign for Kamala. They want to vote for Kamala Harris. I think he's speaking in a broader sense of the Black men outside of the room. Now, here's the thing about the Black vote. It's over, okay? Democrats have the Black vote. I know that they've taken the Black vote down, where conservatives and Republicans have decreased the amount of Black support for Democrats. And that's a good thing. But if we're saying who's got the Black vote, it's generally the one who gets the majority. So I do believe Kamala Harris is still going to get the majority of the Black vote. I do think that it's going to reflect that more Black women are voting for Kamala Harris than Black men. But still, the majority of Black people are going to vote for Kamala Harris. I do believe it's because they think she's Black. I do believe it's because she's a woman and not because of her policy ideas. The woman's literally had 4 years to make something happen for Black people, and she didn't do that. Now, when they asked her directly, are you going to do anything specific for Black people? She said no. Now, as a conservative, you can say no, and I'll tell you why it's okay for a conservative to say no. First of all, there's already this idea that conservatives and Republicans are racist, so they're not going to do anything specific for Black folk. And I don't believe that, of course, because I'm a conservative myself. I'm a registered Republican because independent is just not an option in my area here in Pennsylvania, which is kind of upsetting. But I will say that it's not because people are Black why I want to help Black people specifically. No, I want to help all those who are in need. When you look at President Trump with Ice Cube's Black American Contract, right? I can't call it the Black American Contract. I can't just grant these benefits, these financial benefits to Black people only. I have to make sure that these ideas and these policies benefit all groups of people who are suffering, because to suggest otherwise would be racist. Kamala Harris, with her word salads, obviously did not say it that way because, people were so upset. Well, she said she wasn't going to help Black people. She could have meant she wants to help all people, but she wasn't quite clear on that. So as far as Barack Obama is concerned, to suggest that the reason why Black men don't want to vote for Kamala Harris is because they're misogynist. No, it's possibly because she said she wasn't going to help Black people and didn't clean that up. And because she's a Democrat, they expect Democrats to specifically help Black people, and that obviously did not happen. They're thinking about not voting for Kamala Harris because it seems to us that she prioritizes women over men. And that Taylor Swift endorsement certainly didn't help. And here's the thing. It's a big deal here in Pennsylvania because as a swing state, this is where you have a lot of farm country, cattle country. You also have a lot of oil here. This is where the mining happens, right? The fracking happens, not mining, excuse me, but where the fracking happens, right? We have a lot of jobs out here when it comes to fracking, when it comes to our energy, when it comes to our food. And for the woman who says that she wants to eliminate those things, well, that hurts a lot of jobs and a lot of the jobs that men work. There is very few women who work in the energy departments like we see. We don't really see that, right? We don't see women fracking that often, if at all, right? There are not that many women who are out here building civilization. You'll find a few iron workers who are women. You'll find a few women who work in the energy sector. You'll find a few of them, but the majority are men. And so it doesn't hurt. It doesn't help Kamala Harris to get the Taylor Swift endorsement. It doesn't help her when she says she's going to go after the things that are providing job opportunities and financial freedom to men specifically who are in those industries. And that's something to discuss. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run this clip of Barack Obama. You know, he was well-spoken. This is never really a criticism, right? He's always well-spoken. He does look older. You know, hair is white for sure. He's definitely older now, way older. You can see it. You can see it. Politics ages you. He's just not out of it. So what I'm going to do for you guys today, I'm going to play the clip. Let's just go ahead and let's run that, shall we?
Ahead and just speak some truths, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Because my understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running.
Okay, let's start there. Let's start with that. Okay, so you haven't seen the same turnout in this campaign with Kamala Harris that you saw with President Obama. Well, let's discuss why. Well, for the first of it, you know, this was the closest a black man had ever gotten to being president of the United States. That was a big deal. I mean, he got even Republicans and conservatives. He won big numbers in his first time around. And in the second time around, you know, he was able to keep and maintain the black vote. But there were not just the black vote, but other voters as well outside the black community. He was able to get such a major turnout because his campaign, his presidency, at least when he was first elected, that was more of a symbolic run. I think for a lot of black Americans, it was symbolic. The same way that it was why people couldn't vote between President Obama and Hillary Clinton when they were being primaried, right? It was difficult for people to choose between the two of them because of the symbolism that came with that. This was the closest a woman or a black man had actually gotten to being the president of the United States. It was difficult for them to choose between the two. And then when they decided it was going to be Obama, why so many people came out in droves. I mean, you saw white Americans crying, okay? They were crying when Obama became the president. And part of that was because this was supposed to signal that America had officially become a better country, that it was better than its past, that it had overcome its history of segregation, of slavery, of racism and prejudice towards black Americans, that if white people could vote for a black man to be president, that signifies a collective, you know, patriotism, collective love for just people. We just want what's best for the United States. They did not like what they got with President Bush, and they did think that they were going to get something better with Obama. Not only did we think that we were going to get less wars and more money in our pocket, because remember, his whole slogan was hope and change, right? He gave us a lot of hope. And symbolically speaking, this is why so many people voted for President Obama, that not only were we going to get different and what we thought would be better than Bush, we would also be closing the chapter of slavery, segregation, and racism in the United States. Obama could not become the president if he did not get white votes. It's that simple, okay? He could not have become the president because just because you get the black vote doesn't mean that you're still going to win. If whites don't like you because they are the biggest population in the United States, then you're not winning. It is as simple as that, that if you don't convince suburban mothers who are white or black, if you can't convince white voters, if you can't convince every other population, not just Black Americans, then it's going to be very difficult for you to win. You can win an election without the Black vote. Obviously, we saw that in 2016 with President Trump. He obviously did not get the Black vote, but he still became the president of the United States. You saw the same thing with Ronald Reagan in his first term when he ran and won. He didn't get the majority of the Black vote until his second term. So you can win without the Black vote. This we obviously know. But Obama, he didn't just get the Black vote, he got other voters as well. And it was a big deal. Okay. You do not have that same momentum behind Kamala Harris. Symbolically speaking, there have been other women who came really close to becoming the president of the United States. You all know what I think about her becoming the VP. She was chosen because she's a so-called Black woman. I don't think this woman is Black. Like, we already know that. I did a whole episode about it. I agree with Jen Jackson. I heard the woman was anything but Black. So you already know what I think about that. Just to sum that opinion up real quick. But there is very little momentum because we're past the symbolism here. Okay. We've done the Black president. We've done that. Okay. We're beyond it. We're beyond the symbolism. Symbolism does not pay for groceries. Symbolism does not prevent nuclear annihilation. Symbolism does not help with the education system. Symbolism does not help build business. Symbolism does not provide to the American people. It's obvious that Kamala Harris is not interested in providing opportunities for businesses to thrive. Government doesn't create jobs, okay? Small businesses do. Business creates jobs. Governments provide an environment where businesses can thrive simply just by staying out of the way, right? You stay out of our way and we can do incredible things. Not to say that even with this obstacle of a bad administration in our way, doesn't mean that it's impossible. It's just harder to do. Okay, so the momentum behind Obama is not going to be behind Kamala Harris. It's that simple. We're beyond the symbolism. Let's go ahead and let's keep up with this, shall we?
Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear,
it is clear.
When on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you.
Okay, this episode is probably going to be a little bit longer than I expected. Okay, so this whole thing that she grew up like you, what do you mean she grew up like you? Here's the thing, right? I've had people tell me that I'm not really Black because I didn't grow up like a Black American, that somehow I'm not Black because I didn't grow up in the ghetto. I'm not Black because I was never pregnant before I was 18 years old. There's just a series of stereotypes that come with the Black community that if you have not engaged in those ways, if you have not lived that life, ducking bullets, right? If that's not your life, then you're not Black. My lineage would suggest otherwise, right? I am half Black, so that my not growing up in the hood is irrelevant to my lineage, to my biological makeup, okay? My mother is a Black woman, therefore I am half Black. It's just as simple as that, right? I am 100% a person of color. I'm just 50% Black and 50% Hispanic. So just because I didn't grow up in the hood doesn't mean that I'm not Black. And you guys already know, the differences between your Wills and your Carltons, that somehow Will is more Black than Carlton because Carlton grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth because his daddy was a judge. That somehow we're less Black because we didn't grow up that way. And so for him to say that she grew up like them. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, people were proud of their lawns. What do you mean proud of their lawns? Do you know that more Black people are not growing up in houses? They're growing up in apartments one could call tenements. She didn't grow up like that. That was not her life. I'm finding it hard to believe that all of a sudden we're just going to ignore that because it's Kamala Harris. She did not grow up the way Black people grew up. Not all of them, anyhow. I didn't grow up the way they say Black people are supposed to grow up. I grew up like an American, not like a Black American. It doesn't change anything of my lineage. It's just, it's hard for people to consider me to be a Black person. I've been told that I act white because I speak proper English, because I like to have my hair straightened once in a while, because I don't just find myself attracted to only just Black dudes. This is what we're saying. Come on. To sit here and to say that this woman grew up like Black people, that this is a reason why they should vote for her is kind of asinine, considering her whole background is under question and under investigation by independent commentators like Candace Owens and others who are wondering, is there any truth to her being Black at all, let alone to her growing up Black? And this whole, she went to an HBCU. Who cares? I don't care what college you went to. We're even questioning college at this point. So what difference does it make if she went to the college with majority Black people? I don't care. I really don't. I'll just keep it going.
Understands the struggles and pain
She
and joy that comes from those experiences.
She doesn't.
Who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities.
She's had
From
4 years,
housing
dude.
to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high and are committed to is committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act. So everybody's got health care and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side,
She's had 4 years, people, to do those things. She's had 4 years. And everybody keeps telling me, like when I talk to people who are thinking about voting for Kamala Harris, they tell me, oh, I'm going to vote for her because she's for unions. Yet you have union leaders who are endorsing President Trump. So what do you mean? Oh, I'm for Kamala Harris because she's going to make prescription drug prices more affordable. Okay, but now you can afford the drug prices, but you can't afford the food you're supposed to eat when you take your prescription drug medicine. How is that helping? Oh, she's going to make housing more affordable. But for whom? When we obviously see that more money has been going to illegals to compete with Americans as it relates to housing. And education, they're kicking American students off of their buses, out of their schools to turn into migrant shelters, to bus around illegals. I mean, that's what they've done. So why am I supposed to believe that she's going to prioritize Americans or even Black Americans? Why am I supposed to believe that? Why should Black men? Why should Black men? I'm going to get to the part, you guys, where he is talking about the reasons for why Black men don't want to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, again, you know what I think? I think Kamala is still going to get the Black vote. She's going to get majority of the Black vote. It's not going to be as high as it was for Joe Biden. Joe Biden had an easy 80% of Black voters in the 2020 election. I don't think she's going to get an 80%. I do think she's going to get about 70, 75. She may get a little less, possibly 73. Anywhere between 70 to 75% of the Black vote Kamala Harris is going to get. So she definitely would have lost some of the Black vote. She needs other voters in order to win. You can't just rely heavily on the Black vote. But again, this is why they keep giving money to illegals, because they suspect that they're going to be able to compensate for the loss of Black voters to get the illegals. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to just fast forward to that part for this, you guys, because really that part is what irritated me on behalf of Black men. I was pissed off for you. So if you're a Black man watching this, I'm mad enough for you. The fact that this man, this Black man, could sit here and say that there's something wrong with you, that you're a misogynist if you are not considering voting for Kamala Harris, period. Like, and here's the thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're voting for Trump. Like, I've taken votes from Kamala, not to get people to vote for Trump, but to just not vote for Kamala Harris. If you can take votes away from Kamala Harris, that is a win, okay? Trying to convince people to vote for Donald Trump, they've made up their minds, okay? They think he's a racist, and some of them I've convinced they understand she's just silly. She laughs too much. I don't believe her. To quote Judge Joe Brown, she's an 0304. They don't trust her. She's prioritizing women, transgenders, illegals over Black men, over men, period. She wants to get rid of the industries that make up majority that are men working in those industries, energy specifically. This is going to hurt a lot of men. There's nothing that she's doing or saying that makes men, whether you're Black or white or Asian or Native, doesn't matter, right? They are just not feeling confident in her ability to lead. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to get to that part of the clip where Obama calls black men misogynist. So let's go ahead and let's get to that, Jerry. Let's get to that part.
I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because
she's a
the
woman.
women in our lives have been in our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us,
yeah,
they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody
that is it her.
who
Yeah, definitely
has a history of denigrating you.
Oh, please. I'm tired of people saying that Trump is a racist. No. So as far as not wanting to support Kamala Harris, just not supporting her. Like, I'm not even telling people anymore to vote for Trump. I don't care if you vote for him or not. Listen, I'm done trying to convince black people why they should vote for Trump. Okay, listen, you would get the Platinum Plan, which is Ice Cube's Black American contract made available to all those who are interested in bettering themselves. So you get that with President Trump, okay? HBCUs are going to get more funding. That's enough of Obama. I kind of had enough of him. It's to suggest that black men are being misogynist, like there aren't any other reasons for why they wouldn't want to vote for her. And I said earlier, you guys, I don't think Kamala Harris is no Laura Roslin. She's not even a Janeway here. She's none of these strong female characters that we've ever seen in television. She's no Ripley out of Alien, okay? She's no Janeway. She's no Laura Roslin. She's no Sharon Rader from Major Crimes. She's no Brenda from The Closer. She's no Rizzoli and Isles. There's a sea full of strong female characters I've seen in television, and Kamala Harris doesn't give me not one of those vibes, okay? She doesn't give me any of those, like, at all. The way that people are putting certain individuals into caricatures of what's good and what's evil, and somehow we're supposed to believe that Kamala Harris is the good guy, when in actuality, she's the one that's trying to destroy the world that we live in. She's the one that's trying to destroy the society that we're in today. The one that says it's okay for women to forget their men, that it's okay to prioritize illegals over Americans. The one that says it's okay to violate religious freedoms. The one that says it's okay to get rid of everything that makes who we are as Americans problematic. You're not going to get the support for Kamala that you had for Obama because we're over the symbolism. And for Obama to say that black men are being misogynist, that, it's because they don't want to see a woman be president. Well, listen, show me someone who can be a Laura Roslin. I get that with Kari Lake. Kristi Noem gives me Janeway vibes. Kamala Harris is not like Kari Lake. Kari Lake is ready to go to war with the illegals if it means protecting her citizens, no different than Laura Roslin. Noem is willing to work with technology and farm country to make sure that her civilization, her state is protected from trespassers like the Chinese, trespassers like the federal government who constantly want to interfere and get involved with business where they have no business being whatsoever. I get Janeway and Roslin vibes from women who are on the conservative side, from women who are independent. Tulsi Gabbard is our real life Wonder Woman. I mean, come on. So this isn't that you don't have these women who exist. It's just not Kamala. We're over symbolism here. We're over it. It's not because they're misogynist. It's because they know Kamala ain't the one. She not the one. We're not supporting this broad. Now, I say all that to say, well, after saying all that, here's the thing. she's still going to get the majority of the black vote. She's still going to get it. Trump's not getting the black vote. No conservative is getting the black vote. It's not happening ever. Any black person who ever wants to run for office to get majority of the black vote, you'd have to run as a Democrat. You can't, not as an independent, because then you're suspicious. Democrat voters are going to look at you like you're suspicious, because if you're independent, maybe it's because you're also, it's possible that you're conservative as well. You can't run as a Republican and think you're going to get the vote. No black Republican man is going to win the presidency. I don't ever see that happening, like ever. Not in the next 50 years. It's never going to happen. You are never going to see a black Republican man be the president, any more than you'd see a black woman Republican be the president of the United States. They're the ones with the better ideas. They're the ones who are going to make sure business is thriving. They're the ones that are going to make sure funds are available during hurricanes. Side note. But they're also the ones that are not going to be elected. So Kamala is still going to get the black vote, but black men have made their position clear. The number is going to go down dramatically for Kamala Harris compared to what it was during Joe Biden. We are not supporting her the way that we were supporting Obama. She's not Obama. And we're not misogynist because we don't want her to be the president. Show me a viable woman who could be in that position, and I will have no issue voting for her. You give me a Kari Lake for president, you'll have my vote. You give me a black Kari Lake, I should say more accurately. You give me a black Kari Lake, I'd vote for her, not because she's black, but because I love her ideas. You give me a Janeway, you have my vote. Not because she's a woman, but because I like her ideas. I'm over symbolism. And they thought that because she's a woman, that we were going to vote for her in droves, because symbolically this would look amazing for our, because we can close a chapter on the bad treatment that we've seen from the patriarchy towards women. I don't give a damn about the patriarchy. In fact, I'm quite grateful for it. I don't know why that may be the reasons, but if that is your reason, misogyny or not, I don't care. Okay. If you don't want to vote for that woman, don't vote for her. Don't let Obama try to convince you that there's something wrong with you because you don't think Kamala is the right person for the job. If it is because she's a woman, it could be because she's not the right one. It could be because you don't think women should be being the president of the United States, that that's a man's role. Hey, whatever your reasons are, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Just don't vote for this broad. Now, y'all know my reasons. It's not because she's a woman, because I've gotten beyond the fact that women can't be, I don't even have that conversation anymore. It's like, listen, I'm not even going to, I used to be the person who thought women couldn't be presidents. And then I came into contact with Kari Lake. Like, yeah, she gives me Rosalind vibes. This woman would war with illegals because they're invading our nation. This is a woman who is not afraid to go boom to protect our borders. This is not a woman who's afraid to sick the military on those who do harm against the citizens. I look at Noem and I get Janeway vibes. Someone who's not afraid to protect her people, her crew, her team, her citizens. That's leadership. That's what we want. Okay? Kamala Harris does not give me strong mama bear vibes. Like, at all. She's not interested in saving lives. She's not interested in protecting her citizens. So as far as being a woman, she's not the right woman. Sorry, but woman, you don't even remind me of my mother. My mother would die for me. My mother would go to hell and back for me. And she loves me so much that if she gives the order to ride into hell, I'd ride into hell with a water pistol because my mother said, do it. No questions asked. Kamala doesn't give me that at all. I do not trust that woman. I do not support this woman. And for President Obama to come out and say that black men should want to vote for her because she understands. No, she doesn't. Any more than I understood what it's like to grow up in the hood, because I've never done it. I didn't go to an HBCU. I didn't grow up in the hood. I don't speak Ebonics. That's not my life. Okay. According to a lot of Black Americans, just even within my family, I'll say, which could be a microcosm. I didn't grow up Black. I grew up like an American. And for that reason alone, I'm looking at Kamala Harris like, okay, so she kind of reminds me of me in that regard. She didn't grow up like Black Americans do. Let's say she is Black. She didn't grow up the way Black people did. Majority of them. That's the accusation that is made about me. Kamala Harris does not give me the Black American background at all. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, that's actually not a bad thing to not have grown up in the hood, to not have been dodging bullets, to not have been, without both parents in your life, to not have had any kind of interaction with an education to make you somewhat decent and smart, to count your money and write cursive to sign your checks. I don't get that from her, and neither do black men. But you guys let me know. Okay, you go ahead and you get into the comment sections and let me know what you think about whether or not Kamala Harris is doing it for you. Is Obama right and black men are just being misogynist because they don't want to vote for her? Or do you actually believe in the alternative reasons for why they're not voting for her? I think it's the alternative reasons. I think the majority of the reasons for why you have black men out here not wanting to vote for her is because of the so-called alternative reasons, as Obama likes to say. It's because she's not interested in maintaining a life that respects and appreciates men, period. It's because she's not interested in helping blacks, let alone black men. I think it's the alternative reasons, not because they're misogynists. Not to say that it may not exist. It's just that's not the primary reason for why they're not voting for her. But again, you go ahead and you let me know what you think in the comment sections. I look forward to reading those comments. You know, if you disagree, then go ahead, tell me, let me know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe it is because they're misogynists. I don't believe that. I refuse to get up here and say that it's because black men don't like women why they're not voting for her at all. I don't think that's the case. I don't. I just feel like black men have gotten to the point where they're tired of being disrespected. And more power to them for that. Yay to the patriarchy that provides opportunities and protects women. And for women who want to be constantly disrespectful to the men who provide and protect, well, this is what that looks like. They will not support you. They will not protect you. They will not provide for you because you do not respect them. Get in the comments, let me know. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Archie Financial. You can follow me on Twitter at Archie_finance. You can support the channel by Cash Apping me at #OurShellBranch. So if you'd like to financially support the show, which I definitely appreciate here, you guys go ahead and Cash App me at #OurShellBranch. The link to the Cash App link is going to be in the description box. Thank you all for watching. God bless. Have a good day and Kepler. Star Trek.